In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only paint on the front of this magazine. It's Combat Patrol. Let's get straight into it. Here we are once more on Combat Patrol. So this is issue 11, and because I've got the premium subscription, we also have some brushes. I think you get these with the standard subscription as well. Pretty sure you do, in fact. So we have 3 brushes. Let's have a look at them before we get into anything else. We've got a dry brush, dry 5 it's called. It's decent thickness dry brush. Very nice. Very useful for when doing the bases and things like that. Speaking of bases, we have a large basing brush, which is not bad at all. Nice angle so you can get properly in there with all your stuff. And finally, we also have this rather nice layering brush. This is the Layer S, the small layering brush. Seem to have lost the cover for that one, but never mind. It was here. It's probably still in the bag. So we're going to put these aside and we're going to go straight into the magazine. Now let's address the elephant in the room straight away. It's a double paint issue again. So we've got Lead Belcher, which is a great paint, and Corax White, which is a great paint, but the two together can probably be got for about £7.50 in a Games Workshop shop. So a lot of people will be saying, no, this isn't worth it. And I did find the little cover for the small brush. But here's the thing. This is a magazine that comes with extra bits. So the magazine is what I'm really interested in. That's what we're here for today. Let's have a quick look at what's inside. First of all, we have the nice little editorial, which is always fun. This issue gives you 2 essential new paints. You'll use them to update your Space Marine models, helping bring their metallic details and iconography to life. Absolutely. So, first of all, we got the how to paint, and we're covering all the bits that are to do with the metal bits and the white patches. That's interesting. I've never painted those in metal myself. I always go for a blue coating as if it's part of the main pack. Just something I've always done. I don't know why. That's interesting though. I like the style they've got for this. It's all very well laid out. We've got interesting designs and choices for this bit. This is odd. I do paint this shoulder, but it's in red, not white. Because my guy's the Heart of Albion, it's based on King Arthur. One of King Arthur's other names, his nickname was the Red Ravager, so they've got a red shoulder. And I would not have done that white and left that there. I'd have left that in blue and painted it gold. But, you know, different designs, different strokes for different folks. It does look pretty good on the end. So, yeah, that looks pretty damn good. A nice detail on the sword. Next up, we've got some lore about the Mechanicum. I do like the Mechanicum. They're all incredibly weird. The stuff that the lore is based on is not that far away from how a few people in engineering and software development think about electronics, let's put it that way. So that's quite cool. I like that. I'll be reading that later and enjoying it. A bit more about the Tyranids. To understand the alien is to know only horror. Yeah, they're scary dudes. So that'll be fun to read later on. Oh, look at that. Nice bit on their weaponry. Rending Claw. Interesting covering that. That's not a design I would have gone for with a lot of Tyranids. It looks like almost decaying flesh. I like it. For a stylistic choice, that is very interesting on how you could do that with your own designs and own colours. Then we have more fiction, Into the Dark. Trust in the Emperor, your brothers, and in your hate. Yeah, if anyone ever comes to you and says that the Imperium's the good guys, trust in your hate? Yeah, they're not. No one's good guys. So that'll be fun to read later on. And, of course, they're bringing in the Terminators coming up very, very soon. So that's nice. Now we've got phases and objectives. Every battle is broken up into alternating player turns, and every player turn is broken up into phases. Yeah, this is something that a few people have, how can I put this, brought up in a way that is completely correct on previous episodes. I have been not following the phases when going through the missions, and I have corrected that because I'm actually filming this set of reviews for issues 11, 12, 13 and 14 before I've done the one with the Librarian and Terminator armor, so issues 9 and 10. I'm filming these before I've done those because of an illness. So on those, you'll see me try and use the correct phases and try and keep everything right. But they were absolutely right to point out that I was going out of phase and doing bits that I shouldn't have before I'd done other bits, and as a result, it wasn't exactly the correct way to play the games. So I will be adjusting that for later, don't worry. So we're going to go look through this. We've got the phases, the command phase, movement phase, shooting phase, charge phase, fight phase. Very nice breakdown. That is actually really useful to have nearby as an aide-memoire when you're learning. And now we've got stuff about objective markers. Nearly every mission will instruct you to place objective markers on the battlefield representing valuable territory. Absolutely it will. And then it talks about how big the objective is. A unit is contesting an objective if any of the models in that unit are within 3 inches of it. Now, this has always made me a little bit confused, because I've got here the chapter approved for Pariah Nexus objective marker set. And I'm just going to bring one of these out. That's pretty big. And it always confused me, because which bit was the objective? Of course, that's the objective there. So when I first started out, and I probably shouldn't have been confused, I'm going to grab a ruler and actually measure this. We'll go right across the middle. So you see, 7 and a bit inches. So when I first got it, I was like, that doesn't seem right. But of course, look at the size of the actual objective itself. 1.5 inches. So what's on each side? A 3-inch mark. And it was just me being daft and not thinking about it correctly. But of course, objective markers, yeah, they're little. They're very small for an objective. But the actual size of the objective area is huge. So when you're looking at an objective marker itself, it might be the size of a little collector's coin. Well, actually, they're slightly bigger than a collector's coin, which is a bit annoying. You could have got them together, you know? Games Workshop could have been about the right size. But if you use these as markers, it's just a little bit underneath the size. The actual zone of contention, so you can contest from all around this area, it's actually very big, which gives you a lot of space to get as many of your guys in as possible to try and really take that objective. So let's put that to one side, and we'll talk about this. Controlling objectives. A unit is contesting an objective if any model in that unit is within 3 inches of it. If you are the only player with models within 3 inches of an objective, you control that objective. However, if another player has models within 3 inches of it, you need to work out who controls it. Now this is the bit where Warhammer starts to get a little bit complicated, but it's not that complicated, so it's a good thing that we're doing this so early. Every unit in Warhammer 40,000 has an objective control characteristic, OC. So there we are. We haven't covered that one yet, but it's nice that we're bringing it in. I mean, we're only 11 issues in. We've got a long way. We're only 1/9 of the way through this set. So that's good to be bringing in quite early. When 2 units are within 3 inches of the same objective, the players work out their level of control, or LOC, by adding up the OC, or objective control characteristics, of all the models that they have within 3 inches. The player with the higher score controls the objective. So here we are. Each Infernus Marine has an objective control of 1, as shown in there. So you've got 3 of them. There you are. Each of them has 1, 1, 2, 3. They've got 3. But each Termagant has an objective control of 2 on their thing. And there's only 2 of them, but each of them has 2, so they've got 4. 3 against 4. The Tyranid side controls the objective. Great. Easily set out, very easily explained, much better than the original manual that comes with the starter set. Like, seriously, it's practically not in the starter set. Tracking victory points. You score victory points from objectives in the command phase. It's a good idea to keep a notebook nearby to write down how many points you've scored. Alternatively, this issue also includes a set of victory point markers which you can cut out and use to keep track of your score. It does? Oh, it does! So we've got the objectives and the victory points. 5 points, 10 points, and then 6 objective markers. Not going to be using any of those because, as I said, got my own. However, these little victory point tokens are much better than the ones that I've got from the starter set, and which you guys may also have, where it's just a little triangle. I'm probably going to do this instead with a notebook. Just seems much, much easier. Victory points are scored from objectives in the command phase. Which one's that? Go back. It's the first part of each turn. So basically, right at the start of your turn, you score your points. There we go. Excellent stuff. Now we're going into the scenarios. This will be interesting. Valuable biological samples litter the battlefield. For the Tyranids, these are a chance to develop new biomorphs, while for the Space Marines, these could be used to design deadly countermeasures. Both sides must balance combat with collecting this essential resource. Okay, so we'll battle to claim the objective markers. 1, 2, 3. So you start off basically in control of one, and then one is contested in the middle. So you're only using 3, which makes a decent size battlefield for a good combat patrol. You don't want something too big. This looks pretty good. Got a bit of terrain there as well. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Von Ryan's Leapers, Tyranid Prime, Termagants and Barb Gaunts. We've got an almost entire combat patrol there. I mean, I know there are some more Termagants to come and a couple of other things, but that's pretty much a combat patrol. That's pretty much a starter set from the starter set box. So we're getting close to being able to do the full-size, full-scale combat patrol style missions. That's nice. I'm enjoying this. For this battle, you will need the data sheets for your Space Marines and Tyranids, of course, blah, 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 blah. You will also need your Battlefield Essential cards from Issue 3. Of course you will. In this mission, you score victory points as follows. 5 for controlling 1 objective, 5 for controlling 2 objectives, and 5 for controlling more objectives than your opponent, so basically 2 or 3. Okay, the player with the most points at the end of 5 battle rounds wins. So here we go. We can see on the markers here, Tyranids have scored 15 in round 1, whereas Space Marines have scored 5. How? You can have 5 for controlling 1 objective. So they've got their ones here, 1 and 1. So they get 5 points. 5 for controlling 2 objectives. So are they adding it? I think they may have just made those numbers up. So we'll see how it goes. The player with the most points at the end of 5 battle rounds wins. So it's a full-length match. Let's have a look here. First, check to see which objectives you control. See, straight away you score on points. You control an objective if you have a higher level of control than your opponent, blah, 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 blah. In the first turn, you start with control of 1 objective, so you score 5 points. Yep, there we go. So there's your first one. Battle tip. In the above example, the Space Marines have taken a strong aggressive position. Yes, they have. They've moved in. Next turn, and then it keeps going, and it's not going to say how they're doing it. Nope, it's not going to say how they're scoring it. So I think you get 5 if you're controlling 1, you get 5 if you're controlling 2, and if you've got 2 or 3, you'll get an additional 5. That seems to be how it is. Although how they've managed to do that at the end of battle round 1, I don't know. So it's confusing in just the way they've done that. I just don't like it. At the end of battle round 1, 5 against 15, how? It doesn't make sense. Let's get straight into it. Welcome back to the game room once again, and here we are with Objective Secured, Scenario 7. Now I have used the Pariah Nexus objectives rather than just small little discs because I want to be able to tell at a glance what the size of the objective control area is. So we have a little bit more on the board than we otherwise would, but I think it'll go fine. We have a load of Tyranids down here. We have a load of Space Marines up there. I've got the board set up in such a way that as much of it can be seen as possible. It is a little unfortunate that you can hardly see the Termagants. You can't even see the Winged Tyranid Prime. The Von Ryan's Leapers are over here. And over on this one is a set of Barb Gaunts. Meanwhile, we have a Librarian, Space Marine Captain in Terminator armor, and some Infernus Marines. So, we need our battle counter. Now, you can't stand directly on top of an objective. It's just not allowed. So, we can put right in the middle the objective marker. And I'm going to be using a notepad to keep the markers of objectives because that's just how we do things here. We're very old school. So, as usual, we have to roll some dice to determine who goes first. Blue for the Space Marines, purple for the Tyranids. Tyranids go first. At the start of the round, they're on an objective, so they get 5 points. Our first move has to be to decide what we do. We're going to move. We need to try and conquer that objective and then fight for that one if they want to win. The Von Ryan's Leapers can move 10 inches. And if we want to actually use them for anything, they've got to get into melee range anyway. So I am thinking we put them as our guys for taking the central objective. 10 inches. Managed to catch that one because we've established this before. Von Ryan's leapers are very, very spiky, and it's a real bear of an idea to try and get them anywhere. His best move would be to go to there, which would put him just there, which means he's not in it, but those two are on the objective. So we've got the middle objective with those guys. Winged Tyranid Prime can move 12 inches, and that will put them at a very, very good standing for, let's say, keeping the Space Marine Captain, for example, a bit occupied. We're also going to try and reinforce with the termagants on the central objective because we want to take that. Barbgons, on the other hand, have a range of 24 inches, which will get it to within range of the Infernus Marines, which is what we want because we're going to try and pin down the Marines with our Barbgons. So let's move the termagants. They have a 6-inch move, which means we can get them onto the objective. Let's try and pick them up. Just move them as quick as we can. There we go. It's now very unlikely that the Marines will be able to take that objective, which is exactly what we want. And now, to make sure that they can't, we're going to try and pin down the Space Marine Captain, the guy with the biggest number of attacks of the entire Space Marine group. We're going to try and pin him down. So, Winged Tyranid Prime has the ability to fly. So we don't need to worry about the fact that we have now essentially blocked off this area because the Tyranid Prime can fly. So we're going to move 12 inches. We're going to move to there. He can fly, so he can go right over. Next up, shooting phase. We're not moving the Barbgons. The very specific reason we're not doing that, we keep this objective then, and if we don't move the Barbgons, they have an extra ability when firing. So we're going to leave them there. So everyone else is moved. We're all ready. Let's do our shooting phase. Termagants, well, they have an 18-foot, an 18-inch, imagine 18 feet on this kind of battlefield, an 18-inch range. So they can shoot those, but they can also go for the Librarian. They're going to target the Infernus squad because we want to take them off that objective. So, termagants, they can see the guy, so all of that unit can now fire. Their ranged weapon is flesh borers, and they get 1 attack per guy. 10 of them, so let's do this. They hit on a 4+, so it's probably unlikely that we'll get a lot of hits, but anything counts. So let's do this. In fact, I can say very quickly that only 2 of them have hit. Wasn't the best roll I've ever seen, but 2 is better than nothing. Their strength is 5, Infernus Squad's toughness is 4, so they wound on a 3+. And 1 of them wounded. There is no armor penetration, so we get the standard Infernus Squad saving throw of 3+. Save is made. Never mind, doesn't really matter, because we'll get there in the end. Next up we have the Barbgons. They're shooting as well. Now they've got quite an ability, because the Barb Launcher is a blast weapon and it's heavy. And this is why we didn't move them. Blast weapons give us a +1 on the attack characteristics if we have a target that has 5 or more models in a unit. The Infernus Squad is 5 models, so their attack gets +1. So it's d6 +1. There's 5 of them. So 5d6, 17 +1, 18 attacks. Now normally they would hit on a 4+, but remember, we haven't moved, and heavy weapons, when your people firing them haven't moved, which is what the Barbgons have done, they get a +1 to hit rolls. So instead of hitting on a 4+, the Barbgons now hit on a 3+. So we've got a lot of dice hitting on a 3+. Let's see how many of the Infernus squad we can take out, if any. 15 hits. So we have a strength of 5 against a toughness of 4, so they wound on a 3+. Let's do this, see how many we can manage to wound. And now we see why the Tyranid is such a threat. That one came out, so there we go. 9, not bad. 9 wounds. So we have no armor penetration. We go for the standard Infernus squad save of 3+. 3 wounds got through. Damage of 1. So with 3 wounds to go and Infernus squad people having 2 wounds each, one of them is dead, one of them is on half points. I'll take the one at the back out. And 1 point to the guy next to him. So, at the end of the shooting phase, the Tyranids have already scored first blood. Now we're going to charge. Now this is important because we want to try and keep these objectives. So, let's see, what would it take for our Termagants to hold up the Librarian so that he can't get into the fray? It would take a charge of 11. It would actually be impossible for the Von Ryan's Leapers to do it. Can they get... They could try and charge the Space Marine Captain. Von Ryan's Leapers are now going to try and charge the Space Marine Captain. They're going to need 11 to do it. It's probably not going to happen, but let's face it, if they can do it, they can tie the Captain up and leave the Winged Tyranid Prime to try and charge the other guy. So let's do this. Von Ryan's Leapers, they need 10 on a charge roll. They don't get it. Leaves the Tyranid Prime. We've got to try and keep the Space Marine Captain, at the very least, under control and basically under pressure if we're going to get through this at all. So let's do that. We have 4. They need a 4. They get a 12. The Leapers could have done with that. So, Tyranid Prime moves in. The Winged Tyranid Prime does not have a fights first. But neither does the Captain. So, Tyranid Prime goes for first attack. Tyranid Prime has 6 attacks. With the Prime Talons, they hit on a 2+. Which means all of them have hit. Okay, we're in business here. Strength of 6 against the Captain's toughness of 5 means they wound on a 3+. So let's see how many wound. 5 wounds. He has an armor penetration of -1 against the saving throw of the Captain of 2+, so the Captain saves on a 3+ now. Let's see how this goes. 2 wounds got through, and we get damage of 2 on each, so that is 4 wounds to the Captain. The Captain only has 6 wounds. He's only got 2 left. Tyranids end their turn having taken an Infernus Marine out and severely wounding the Captain. That is an excellent first turn. Now the Space Marines are up. So, Space Marines need to control an objective. Simple as that. They need to control an objective. They can't not try and at least harass one of these. Otherwise they're not going to get anywhere. But they do start with one objective under control, and that's 5 points. We've got to decide on movement. Is the Captain going to fall back out of engagement range? Yes, he is. He's going to fall back with his 5-inch move. He's going to fall back to, say, over here. For a very, very good reason. He needs to get out of that range. Tyranid's so spiky. He needs to be out of range of the melee so that he can do some other stuff. Now he can't fight on this turn, but he's out of range and Maybe the Tyranids do something different next time. We don't know yet. Librarian now, he's going to start moving. Librarian also has a 5-inch move. Basically, if you're in Terminator armor, you're as slow as can be. He needs to try and get into range. So we're going to go to here. And he, because he hasn't fallen back, can shoot. No one else is moving unless... Let's have a think. Do we really want the Inferno Squad to move? No, because they're 12 inches from the Von Reinsleepers, which is their combat range for shooting. So, I think that's movement over. We've got the captain there, who can't shoot. The Librarian is going to fire. The Inferno Squad's going to fire. Inferno Squad first. So, we have the Pyre-Blaster. It has a 12-inch range. We've already established it can hit the Von Reinsleepers. D6 attacks per guy. There's 4 left. Let's see how many they get. 11 attacks. Better than nothing. They all hit, because that's how the Pyre-Blaster works. So, with the strength of 5 against the Von Reinsleeper's toughness of 5, they're wounding on a 4+. 11 on a 4+. 6 managed to wound, so that's not bad at all. No armor penetration, so the Von Reinsleeper's standard saving throw of 4+ comes in. Let's see how many they managed to save from the flaming torrents of the Space Marines. 2 managed to get through. Inferno Squad's damage is 1 apiece, and Von Reinsleepers have 3 wounds, so one of them has 2 wounds. Let's say this guy has 2 wounds. Now, the Librarian's up, and he's the only other guy that can attack this round. So, at this stage, I'm not going to say it's a good idea to go all in with his focused Witchfire, even though it would give us a higher toughness and more armor penetration. You know what? Yes, we are going to attempt this because it has devastating wounds as well as being hazardous. So there's a chance that he's about to take 3 points of damage himself, but we have devastating wounds. Now, devastating wounds means that if we roll 6s to wound, no save roll may be made against that attack, and that's why we're going to risk it. We get D6 attacks. How many attacks do we get? We get 6 attacks. Please tell me that's not the only 6 we're going to get. He is now going for the Von Reinsleepers as well. Why are we doing that? Because they've got the most attacks and they attack in force. So he's going for them. And we can tell they're in range because he's got a 24-inch range and they're only 12 inches away. So let's do this. Focus Witchfire, Smite, hitting on a 3+. If we get a D6, that wound goes straight through armor without saves. No armor penetration, 3+. Only 2 of them got through. Strength of 4 against their toughness of 5, so he wounds on a 5+. This is not looking good for our Librarian. 1 of them managed to get through. What's his damage? D3. Let's see how much damage he does. He does 1 point of damage. That guy is gone. The Librarian has taken out one of the guys with a focused Witchfire Smite. And he goes. There we go. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. But a focused Witchfire Smite is hazardous. So we now have to roll a d6. For each roll of 1, he will take 3 damage. He doesn't take damage. He's okay. Oh, there we go. So, now, what do? Well, obvious. We have a character who's severely injured, and he's going to get attacked either way. So he might as well do as much damage as he can before he gets taken out. Our Space Marine captain is going to charge. He needs 6 inches. If he can get 6 inches in, he can charge. Let's do this. He gets it. Our captain is going to slice and dice. Termagants don't have fights first, and neither does the captain, which means that since he charged, he gets to fight first. Let's do this. He gets 6 attacks with his relic sword. No one else is charging. The Librarian I'm specifically keeping back so I can do more smiting. So let's do this. And also, the Librarian I'm keeping back so we can do more smiting, and the Infernus squad are staying over there so that they can control that objective. Let's see how they get on. 6 attacks. He wounds on a 2+. Every single one of those is hit. Sorry, he hits on a 2+. Every single one of those has hit. And he has a strength of 5 compared to the Termagant's toughness of 3. So he will now wound on a 3+. 4 got through. Armor penetration on his relic weapon is -2. And the saving throw of a Termagant is 5+ already, which means that their save will be 7+, which means they can't save, because you can only roll up to 6. We're going to roll anyway, because you never know. If we roll a 7, then they'll save. Oh look, they didn't roll a 7. So basically, those 4 wounds have gone through. 2 damage per wound. 8 of the Termagants are now gone. And that, with 1 stroke, means the Space Marines are back in the game. So, that is the end of round 1. Now, we need to determine, at the start of round 2, how the situation is. At the end of round 1, the Space Marines have taken out a Von Ryan's Leaper and 8 Termagants, compared to the Tyranids taking down 1 Infernus Marine and heavily wounding the Space Marine Captain. Now, at the start of round 2, to work out objective control. Both teams still have their original objective, but in the middle here, we have to work out what's going on. We have a Captain in Terminator armor with an objective control of 1, Termagants with objective control of 2, and Von Ryan's Leapers with objective control of 1. 2 Termagants, both with objective control of 2, so that's a 4, plus 1 Von Ryan's Leaper with an objective control of 1 makes 5 for the Tyranids, compared to 1 Captain with an objective control of 1 for the Space Marines. Tyranids take that middle one, so they get 5 points for this, 5 points for that, and 5 for controlling more than the opponent, which means that they get 15 points. But it's all still to play for. Now, we need to decide what they're doing. Are they going to move? Well, the Von Ryan's Leapers are definitely moving. They're going to move a couple of inches to make sure they're on here. But how many inches? Well, let's actually just move as close as we can to the Space Marine Captain, which would be a 5-inch move to get them to there. They can't stand on the objective marker in the middle, but they can stand here. And they can't get any closer than this, if I think about it, because they need to be a 1-inch gap. They have to charge into engagement range. So they've moved. The Termagants, they're not going to move because their melee is not good, and I want to be able to shoot him. They can see him, so that's okay. They can also see him. We might as well try and take him out, actually, now I'm thinking about it. So they'll probably shoot him. This guy at the back, he is going to move. We're going to, this time, attack the Librarian, see if we can knock him down a bit. So, Winged Tyranid Prime with a 12-inch move is going to move 6 inches to get him to the point where he's basically about to charge into melee range. And these guys are not moving again because, once again, they're going to pin down the Infernus squad. So, now we're on to the shooting phase. We'll start with the Termagants, because there's only 2 of them. So they get 1 attack each, and they hit on a 4+. Both of them have hit. They have a strength of 5 against the Space Marines Captain's toughness of 5, so they wound on a 4+. One of them managed to wound. They have no armor penetration, so his standard saving throw is 2+. He saves. Still worth it. Right, they have not moved. Barb Gaunts are up next. So we have a blast and heavy weapon. The heavy weapon will come into effect on this one because of the Barb Gaunts. They haven't moved, so they get the effect of heavy, which means that their ballistic skill is reduced by 1 point. So instead of hitting on a 4+, they hit on a 3+, which is excellent for them. But blast, the blast weapon effect won't come in because we've only got 4 Infernus Marines left, and you need 5. So let's go straight to it. We've got D6 attacks, and there's 5 of them. So we get 5d6. 14 attacks. Not bad. It's hitting on a 3+ because of the effects of heavy weapons having not moved. They have a strength of 5 against the Furnace Squad's toughness of 4, so they wound on a 3+. 6 wounds, not bad. No armor penetration for them, so we go with a standard saving throw of 3+. Let's see how many of the Marines manage to keep up to the barrage. Oh my goodness. Half of the barrage got through. That's not good news. Bob wants to do 1 damage per wound. We've got 3 wounds, that's 3 damage. Our Inferno Squad only has 2 wounds. One guy's already had a wound, so he takes the first one and he's out. Another one has to now take it, so we'll take that and he gets the other 2 and he's out. Bob Gaunts have now successfully taken down 2 extra Infernus Marines. Pretty good going. Shooting phase over, let's charge. We're not going to move the termagants. Again, I want to be able to shoot with those and I don't want them into melee. So let's roll for the Von Rein's Leapers jumping into action. We need a 3 or 4 on the charge. Let's say a 4-inch charge. Actually, we only need 1-inch charge. So we're going to charge, 1-inch charge. They get 4. There we go, straight in. They're in. They have fights first. Let's do this once we get into that. He's also charging. He needs a 1-inch charge as well. Yeah, he's got it. So he's going to be fighting in this as well. They have fights first, that one doesn't, but neither do the other guys. So, Von Rein's Leapers straight in there. They get 6 attacks per Leaper. There's 2 Leapers surviving. So, we get 12 attacks. And they hit on a 3+. 7 attacks got through. That's pretty damn good. Their strength is 5 against the Captain Terminator's armor, toughness of 5, so they're wounding on a 4+. This could be quite bad. Well, it was bad, but not in the way I thought. We got 1 wound that managed to actually get through. We're saving throw for a captain. There is an armor penetration on the Von Rein's Leapers of -1, so he is now saving on a 3+ instead of 2. And he doesn't make the save. Von Rein's Leapers do 1 damage, so he is now on his final hit point. He's got 1 wound left. The captain is pretty much down, but he's not out. He gets to fight again now. So he has 6 attacks. He's going to respond in kind with his relic weapon, his big relic sword. 6 attacks, hitting on a 2+. Every single one of those is hit. He has a weapon strength of 5 against their toughness of 5, so he wounds on a 4+. It's not the best, but let's see how he goes. 1 did not wound. Potential 5 wounds. He's got an armor penetration of -2 on their saving throw of 4+, so if these Von Rein's Leapers don't manage to save on a 6, they're out. 1 of them got a 6. The rest did not save. So, 4 wounds got through. He has a damage of 2. So every one of those is 2 damage. That's 8 damage. The Von Rein's Leapers have 3 wounds each, which means both of them are down. The Space Marine Captain may be very, very, very badly hurt. But he's not out of the game yet. Now we move over to the Tyranid Prime of fighting a Librarian. The Tyranid Prime has 6 attacks. He gets to go first because he's the one that charged. 6 attacks with his big talons. Hitting on a 2+, 4 hits. He's got a strength of 6 against the Librarian's toughness of 5, which means he will wound on a 3+. He managed to wound with 2. Pretty good going. He has an armor penetration of -1, and the Librarian in Terminator armor has a save of 2+, which means he's now saving on 3+. Can he save? He's saved both. The Librarian gets off without a scrape. Pretty good going. So, the Librarian now gets to fight back in kind. He only gets 4 attacks with his relic weapon, which is a giant axe, and he hits on a 3+. 2 of them have managed to hit. Actually, he's not using a relic weapon. He's using a force weapon, which gives psychic damage. That can come into play, but not today. But 2 got through. So he has a strength of 6 against the Tyranid Prime's toughness of 5. He wounds on a 3+. One of them wounds. He's doing okay. Armor penetration of -1 on the saving throw of 4+ means this Tyranid Prime needs a 5 or more to escape damage. He doesn't get it. So the D3 of damage gets to go through. 5. A 5 or a 6 when rolling for D3 means he takes 3 damage. The Winged Tyranid Prime has 6 wounds, which means he's only got 3 of them left. Doing pretty good. Right. Now it's the Space Marine's turn. And of course, Space Marines only contest that one objective because these termagants have an objective control of 2 against his 1, which means they still don't get that. So they only get 5 points. So, first things first, we're going to need to start moving. I'm not going to move the Librarian. The Librarian is actually holding up quite well against that guy. I'm going to leave the Captain where he is. And I'm going to quickly measure. They're still within range. They're still within range of the Infernus squad. So I'm not going to move anyone. Everyone is in perfectly the right place for what I want to do. So, movement phase, everyone's staying put. Let's go for shooting. The Infernus squad are going to shoot these termagants. They get D6 attacks, and there's only 2 of them left, so let's hope this works. So that's 9 attacks, and they automatically hit because of Pyroblast. They have a strength of 5 against a termagant's toughness of 3, which means they wound on a 3+. 6 managed to get through. That's pretty damn good. So, they have no armor penetration, but termagants have a terrible saving throw of 5+, so it wouldn't really matter either way. Let's do this. Okay, they've managed to save on that one, and then the rest, oh, and that one. So they've got 3 wounds got through. That's not too bad. Damage of 1 per piece, which means 3 damage. However, the termagants only have a wound of 1, which means both of them are wiped out. So, now, the Space Marines are on track to get that. The Captain is now up. He's going to shoot. He can't shoot that guy, but he is going to shoot these guys. He has a Storm Bolter, which is rapid fire, and a range of 24 inches. They are less than 12 inches away. Now, rapid fire is excellent. You get additional shots to your attack when an enemy is less than half distance. They're less than 12 inches, so he gets, what is this? Rapid fire 2. He gets 2 additional attacks, which means he's now getting 4 attacks. Rapid fire is excellent. 4 attacks on the Barb Gaunts. Let's go. He hits on a 2+, which means that one did not hit, but the other 3 did. And his strength is 4 compared to their toughness of 4, so he wounds on a 4+. 2 wounds got through, that's not bad at all. No armor penetration for his Storm Bolter, so Barb Gaunts are going with a standard save of 4+. One of them saved, one of them did not. Only 1 damage, however, and Barb Gaunts have 2 wounds each, so let's say the back guy, he got a wound. The Librarian, does he have a... He doesn't have a pistol, he has a bolter instead of a pistol, which is terrible news, because now it means that he can't use any of his powers. What a shame. But that's the end of that. And now we're going to see about charging. And I'm not sure I should, because I could get a lot of points. Remember, this isn't about killing all your opponents, this is about collecting points. The Space Marines are on 10 to the 20 that the Tyranids have. And if they keep those 2 at the end of this round, they'll have 15, which put them in lead. So he is not going to charge. Charging phase is out. Now we're on to fight. The Librarian is up first. In fact, the Librarian is the only one who's going to be fighting here. So let's see. We've got 4 attacks from his Force Axe. 4 attacks. He hits on a 3+. He has hit with 1. That was a terrible attack, Mr. Librarian. You did a swing and a miss and then a slight nick on the way back. Oh my goodness, what are you like? So he's got a strength of 6 against the Tyranid Prime's strength, toughness of 5, which means he wounds on a 3+. He's going to need this. He has not wounded. At the end of the fight phase, the Librarian has done nothing. But it's not the end of the fight phase, is it? Because the Tyranid Prime gets to fight as well. And he gets 6 attacks. This might prove deadly. This could turn the tide. He hits on a 2+. Every single one of them has hit. The Tyranid Prime is not happy with the Librarian. So, maybe he's got an overdue book. 6 on strength against toughness of 5 means that Tyranid Prime wounds on a 3+. 4 wounds got through. That's pretty good going. Armor penetration of -1 on a saving throw of 2+ means that the Librarian saves on a 3+. Can he do it? Can he stay upright? 2 of them saved, 2 of them did not. What is the damage? 2 damage per wound, 2 wounds. The Librarian has 5 wounds total, which means he only has 1 left. He's got 4 wounds. Not quite out, but very close. So at the end of round 2, the Space Marines have kind of turned the tide, but not enough, I think, to really have cemented victory at this point. We go into round 3. So, the situation that we have at hand is this guy could continue attacking him and potentially take him out. The Librarian could go down. He could try and attack this guy, but that's going to require a fall back and then a wait and then an attack, so it's not a good idea. The Barb Gaunts can still attack the Infernus squadron or try and take out the captain. If they take the captain out, that's a good thing for them, because right at the start, they've only got the points for this one objective that they've got down here, which means they really are in quite a bind. They're only on 25 points. So, the Barb Gaunts are going to shoot their load at the Space Marine captain. Barb Gaunts get d6 attacks, and because there aren't 5 or more in the unit, they only get their standard d6. They still have 5 people though, which means they get 5 d6, and they get 6, 12, 16, 18, 20 attacks. They haven't moved, so the heavy rating for their weapons does come into play. So instead of hitting on a 4+, they're going to hit on a 3+. Okay, so 16 managed to hit. That's a pretty damn good attack. Let's see if this works out for them. Strength of 4 against the captain's toughness of 5. So they unfortunately wound on a 5+. They're really going to need all 16 of these actual hits, aren't they? Wounding on a 5+. 3 managed to get through. Pretty good. On the basis of the fact that they were having to hit on 5 or more. No armor penetration, so the captain saves on a 2+. Can he save? He only needs to take 1 damage, remember, and then he's out. He saves on a 2+, and he has not saved all. He saved 2. 1 got through. Barb Gaunt's damage is 1. He's only got 1 wound left. The captain is down. Now, the tables have turned. We're not going to move the Barb Gaunts. They are doing really good job. They're doing really good work where they are, keeping people pinned down and securing this objective for the Tyranids. We're also not going to move by charging on this guy here. So the winged Tyranid Prime is just going to fight. He gets 6 attacks. Let's see how he does. 6 attacks. He hits on a 2+. Every single one of those is hit. His strength is 6 against a toughness of 5, so he wounds on a 3+. Let's see if he can take the Librarian out. Remember, the Librarian's only got 1 wound left, so this is going to be pivotal for the mission ahead. Only 1 of them didn't hit. So, strength of 6 against a toughness of 5, so they wound on a 3+. 3 didn't get through, but the Librarian's only got 1 wound left, so this is pivotal. Armor penetration of -1 on a saving throw of 2+ means he saves on a 3+. He's got 3 to save. Can he do it? If he misses, can he do it? If he misses 1 of these, he's down. He has missed 2. The librarian is down. And that is the end of the Tyranid's turn. So now we come to the Space Marines. Well, here's a bit of a turn up for the books, because the Space Marines at the end of the last round would have been contesting this. But now at the start of their turn, they're not. No one is. They've only got their first one, so they only get +5. Which means the Tyranids are still 10 points ahead. Now, it's all to play for, sure, but they've really got to start getting in there. Infernus Squad has a range of 12 on their shots. They are no longer in range of anything. So, they're going to have to move in order to do any kind of damage. They have a 6-inch move. If they move, they can't contest anything. But it's not going to matter if they're all dead. So, 6-inch move. That's their move. Are they in range? They are now in range for shooting the winged Tyranid Prime. They need to take him out. He's got 3 wounds already out of a total of 6, so he's on half damage. They have D6 attacks on their Pyreblaster. There's 2 of them, so 2d6. They get 7 attacks. Here we go. Can they do it? All of them have hit, of course, because that's how the Pyreblaster works, but that is cocked, so there we are. This is basically the wounds roll in that case. So strength of 5 against a Tyranid Prime's toughness of 5, so they wound on a 4+. 2 did not wound. 5 wounds got through. They have no armor penetration, so the Tyranid Prime's saving throw of standard 4+ comes into effect. Can they do it? He has managed to save 2, which means 3 got through. Damage of 1, so every one of these wounds is 1 damage. He's taken 3 damage, he's only got 3 wounds left. The Tyranid Prime is down. The Infernus Squad avenge their captain. We've technically still got the charge phase to go, but we can't charge because they're out of range. So that's the end of the Space Marines' turn. At the start of round 4 on the Tyranids' turn, well, they're still in control of one of their objectives, so they get 5. They have 30 points. They're doing okay. Are they able to shoot these guys? Their range is 24 inches. So they actually have no reason to move at all. They can just stay where they are. And that means that their heavy attack ability will come in. They're going to stay where they are. Move straight on the shooting phase. They get D6 attacks. There's still 5 of them. So we get 5d6. 18 attacks. They hit on a 4+ with these 18 attacks. That's a pretty good roll for them. They've got a strength of 4 against the Infernus Squad's toughness of 4, so they wound on a 4+. Can they actually take out the Infernus Squad? They've got 11 chances. Yes, I think it's safe to say that they're probably going to do it. They have no armor penetration, so the Infernus Squad's standard saving throw of 3+ kicks in. Let's see how they do. They've got a lot here to try and save. 4 did not manage to be saved. Damage of 1 per wound, and the Infernus Squad has 2 wounds each, which means that the Infernus Squad is completely wiped out. And at the end of the Tyranid's turn in round 4, it's a Tyranid victory with 5 Barb Gaunts still standing. So there we are at the end of the mission. Pretty good mission. I enjoyed it. Like I say, it takes a little time to get used to all the different parts of Warhammer. It is a complicated game. It's much more complicated than some traditional style games, but I really enjoyed it. However, we did get a Tyranid victory, so we're going to have a look at that as well now. The Tyranids chitter as they psychically report their findings to the hive mind. The Space Marines are too late. The biological samples have been analysed, and their biomass consumed. The hive mind urges its forces back, for there are more missions ahead, and this brood has proven its effectiveness in battle. Pretty good there. And like we said earlier on, we have victory point tokens and objective markers, not ones I'm going to be using myself, but good if you want them. I like that. Again, how hard would it have been to make the collector coins the size of victory tokens? It's right there. It's practically the centre. Oh, that's it. That's so unfortunate, man. But there we go, you know. Pretty good mission, pretty good issue, and gonna enjoy the narrative stuff to read that up now. So, until next time, I think that was a thumbs up. What do you think, though? That's the important thing. Do leave a message in the comment section down below. Remember to click the like button and subscribe for future videos, because there will be more in the future. But until next time, I've been Zoe Kirk Robinson. You've been watching WarGame Hammer. Take care and happy gaming. If you like the show, please consider supporting me on Patreon. It really does help create future videos. That's patreon.com/Zoe Kirk Robinson. And I've got an extra special thanks going out to Chief89, Sam Yates, Retro Mickey 82, Mo Henry, and George Botterini. Thank you so much, guys.